How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot getting cussed out by one of her city aldermen. Now, this particular conversation, cuss out, whatever you want to call it, underlines my point about these so-called peaceful protests being the equivalent to riots. In this clip, you'll hear their conversation, their back and forth. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what they said. I'll give you some deeper context behind it. Then I'll give you my 2 cents, my deep detail analysis, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Brace for impact. We are getting new audio from an explosive May 31st conference call showing Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot butting heads with local official Raymond Lopez. It was all over the city's response to looting. Here's how the call began.
We can't expect our police, and I don't fault them at all, to be able to control this. We know that people are here to antagonize and incite, and you've got them all pumped today. They're not going to go to bed at 8 o'clock. They're going to turn their focus in the neighborhoods. I've got gangbangers with AK-47s walking around right now, just waiting to settle some scores. What are we going to do, and what do we tell our residents other than good faith people stand up? It's not going to be enough.
Mayor Lightfoot, not mincing words on her response.
I think you're 100% full of is what I think. If you think
no offense, you then. Who are you to tell me I'm full of Well, maybe you should come out and see what's going on.
The stupidest thing I have ever heard. I understand you want to preen. I understand that you think that you...
Mayor, you need to check your attitude. That's what you need to do.
All right, so you heard that. You see what's going on. Now, this was really crazy, but necessary. Okay, hats off to that man for cussing Lori Lightfoot out. I presume he's a liberal Democrat. I don't know. He could be conservative. It's not really important. What's important is that he had a conversation, which was pretty long, like an hour conversation. If I could find that, I'll link to it in the box. But it was important that he talked to her and stood up to her because of what she was not doing in the city. All right. It's crazy how you can send all kind of police to a church, a black church, no less, during this whole quote unquote quarantine shutdown to try and get them to come out of the church because they're not socially distancing and they shouldn't be having church service, and that's wrong. And you want to come and tow their cars away from the church, so they're going to be stranded trying to get back to the crib. You want to do that, but then when it comes to the riots and the looting and the shooting and the carrying on, you don't want to control that. You don't have your police force adequately sent to certain areas of the city that you know are going to be dangerous. All right. Father Pfleger, who is a really prominent figure in Chicago, he was saying that people came up to him constantly and said, hey, there's no police anywhere. It's open season on us. We have no security. All right. Because where were the police? They're out there trying to protect the so-called peaceful protesters from out of town, from in town, people that don't come outside ever. They want to come out here and quote unquote peacefully protest. And then you guys out the looters and everybody else. So the resources are being stretched thin to these so-called peaceful protests. Meanwhile, the people in the communities that these people are so-called protesting for are left with no security. As a result, you had the deadliest weekend in Chicago's recorded history since 1961, at least. Okay, that's as far as data goes back. Even during Al Capone time, the Valentine's Day massacre was 7 people at once. You had 18 people that died in one day, one 24-hour period, 18 people shot and killed in Chicago. Okay. At the same time, you're having these so-called peaceful protests. This is why I have no empathy. I don't care about your cause. I don't care about Black Lives Matter. I don't care about police reform. I don't care about any of that. You out here protesting so-called peacefully. Meanwhile, right down the street, right across the way, people that you're trying to help, you purport yourself to be in favor of, are dying because you are using up all the resources. You are creating a big disturbance that the police got to come and try to control. You are providing cover for those that are going to come out here and destroy the black community, the very same community that you purport yourself to be for. This is what I was saying in that debate when I was on RT. These liberal Democrats, liberal normies don't care if the black on black murder rate jumps up exponentially. They don't care if nationally, we go from 7,000 black on black murders a year to 25,000 black on black murders a year. The whole point is that no police actually hurt a black person, whether justified or not. All right. They don't care about black lives. They care about political lives, political aspirations, personal gratification, self-aggrandizement. Look at me. I'm a white liberal. Look at me. I'm a black liberal. I'm privileged. I got money. I'm out here. I'm doing something. I'm protesting. I got a black square on Instagram. I come from that environment. I know what you guys are doing is not helping. The peaceful people, I don't care. The rioters, I care even less. You are all the same to me. Stop it. Okay? Shout out to the alderman for putting the pressure on Lori Lightfoot. I mean, we need more guys like that all over the country. Not just Chicago, but also Minneapolis, where they're talking about defunding the police. Did you see that lady from Minneapolis City Council on CNN when she was asked about a home invasion? If you get your door kicked in, who should I call?
Do you understand that the word dismantle or police free also makes some people nervous? For instance, what if in the middle of the night, my home is broken into? Who do I call?
Yes, I mean, I hear that loud and clear from a lot of my neighbors. And I know, and myself too, and I know that that comes from a place of privilege, because for those of us for whom the system is working, I think we need to step back and imagine what it would feel like to already live in that reality, where calling the police may mean more harm is done.
I'm talking about that right there, that kind of attitude, like checker privilege. So what is like, what are you thinking about? Most of the violent crime happens in these so-called urban, inner city, low-income black areas. That's where it happens at. That's where you're going to get your door kicked the most. So when you tell somebody in one of these communities that is calling the police, you got a single mom, 3-4 kids in the house. She's saying, please come help. It's a guy at my door. What you going to be like, check your privilege? I don't care. Call Tyrone, call the crackhead. This is ridiculous. This is crazy. But these people don't even really think like that. I don't think they even understand what they're talking about. Disband the police. If you disband the police, what you're going to have is what happened in Chicago over Memorial Day weekend. 18 people shot, killed. Okay, community police. The Nation of Islam is right there in Chicago. The Fruit of Islam is exactly that. Where were they at? I'm not saying they weren't there, but where were they at? 18 people shot and killed. Can you really stop organized crime? You got Mexican Mafia, Latin Kings in Chicago right now operating. Can you really stop them from doing whatever they want to do, if not for a robust and well-funded police force that has a law on their side? Can you really do anything about that? You want to go out there with your gang versus their gang, that'll just be gang violence, the same as always. What's new? Get the police in there to be a non-biased third party to go and enforce the law, to go and help people through their everyday lives, to protect people. When you disband the police, when you don't care about the police being in these areas and you want to put them elsewhere for tourists and for TV purposes, you're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the absolute wrong thing. So like I said, hats off to my man for cussing that lady out, Lori Lightfoot. All right. Like I said, we need the same thing. Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles, all over the United States, where there's an assault on the police. I support the police 100%. Are the police perfect? No, I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. There is no perfection on planet Earth, period. Everything is imperfect. Even the wobble of the earth around the sun is imperfect. There is no perfection to be found. That does not mean that you just end your life because you're not perfect, nor do you say the police are not needed and defund them because they're imperfect. We don't even need police reform, really. If we need reform, we need to have reform go the other direction to get stronger. A lot of these terrorists in Chicago, yeah, I said terrorists, black terrorists, white terrorists, Hispanic terrorists, Asian, whatever, in the communities come out over and over again. They get locked up, come out, locked up, come out. It's a revolving door. If you want to do some real reform, lock them up and let them stay in the penitentiary, okay? Like the guy that killed David Dorn. If he were locked up appropriately and not given the break, not once, not twice, but 3 times, maybe, just maybe, David Dorn still be here today. Just maybe. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that I'm correct about the alderman being correct in cussing Lori Lightfoot out for her lack of response to the city's needs? You giving the police resources to these so-called peaceful people, these numb nuts from out of town, and the rioters and the looters. You giving the resources to them and not even really stopping the rioting and the looting. Meanwhile, your citizens, your constituents, your taxpayers are left to themselves. All right, left victim to gangs, to drugs, to violence, all that stuff. Was he right to call her out? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was it not right to call her out? Was it appropriate for Lori Lightfoot to divert resources to the so-called peaceful protesters and neglect her citizens? All right. Was it right for the so-called peaceful protesters to come and take those resources away from the people that live in these areas that need them more than they do? People that's out there to protest can go back to where they live at, and it's not really dangerous. All right. They don't have to be out there protesting. They're protesting for, like I said, self-aggrandizement, self-fulfillment, not for anything real. That's a fact. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.